So welcome back to Simple Life with Rob Pusateri. I promised somebody that I would do this very soon. So what I'm doing is I'm making some sauerkraut. And it's a real simple ratio. I'm using a pink Himalayan salt, I think is a good salt. And what I've done, you use a ratio of 3 tablespoons of this salt per 5 pounds of this cabbage. So I have already weighed it and I sliced it up, and I'm actually at 4 pounds. So I went ahead and put 2 tablespoons of salt in. I did the math, it was supposed to be 1.8. I'm okay if it's a little bit salty. It's not gonna bother me a bit. And from here, once I've shredded up my cabbage, I cut out that center core and washed it off, and now I've sliced it up. I mean, you can see I've sliced it up into pieces about yay big. And now I'm going to go ahead and just mix this up. I've already mixed the bottom half. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. And then I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to let it sit and let that salt start to do its work on this cabbage. And what I'm not going to do is add water. It's not necessary. You'll see when I come back, I'm making my dinner right now. But when I come back to this in about 45 minutes to an hour or so, this will have already started to compact by itself without me even pushing it down. And the salt will start drawing the moisture out of this cabbage. And when that happens, well, that's a big piece. When that happens, that's its juice. That's its own juice. And so we're gonna keep pushing this down and come back and push it down periodically. But for 45 minutes or so, I'm just gonna let it sit here and let the salt do its thing. And then we're going to hopefully get all this on video as well. But I've got some mason jars, a couple quart jars, and we've got these glass weights. They make a bunch of different kinds. Mason tops is one of the most popular. You can get them right on Amazon. And there's these neat little rubber lids that you put on top of the jar, and we're going to explain all that when we come back. All right, so welcome back. It has been about 45 to 50 minutes. This has just been sitting here. I haven't done anything with it. So now what I'm going to do is start the good old working process with my fist. I'm going to start mashing it. And this process, I'm not going to videotape the entire process because this does take a little while. But you can see it is compacting. It's getting down lower. And this process takes a little while, but I can, if I sit here and just keep mashing and putting some pressure down on here, that juice will start coming up over the surface of it. But I'm a little bit lazy, so I'll let it sit for another 20 minutes or so and let that salt continue to work on it. But I'm packing it down pretty good now. And there's the water level. It's actually just, the water level is right at my knuckle there. So we have a little bit longer to go. And we'll keep pressing this down. And then we'll start to jar it up into to the mason jars. Hopefully you can see those, the water coming to the surface now. I've been doing this, just pressing down with my fist for about a solid 10 to 12 minutes now. It is a little bit of a workout, but it's well worth it. And pretty soon I'll be able to go ahead and put this in the mason jars so we can go ahead and label them and get them in the cabinet to let them ferment. This time of year, it's starting to cool down. It's November, almost December. We will let this ferment most likely for about 5 weeks. Almost there. A couple more minutes. Okay, we are now pretty much 1 hour into this whole process. You remember the first 45 minutes or so, this sat and just sat in salt. And I probably could have worked it some, smashed it up a little bit in the first 25, after about the first 25 minutes, but I didn't. And as you can see, hopefully, as I press my fist down, the water level has risen right even with the top of the cabbage. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and fill our jars. And just remember, everything is nice and clean. My hands are washed, the jars are washed. I'm probably gonna need, I got 3 jars, that's probably enough. And sadly, I let myself run out of this stuff. But again, we used 4 pounds of cabbage sliced up. And I used about 2 tablespoons of kosher, the pink Himalayan salt. You can use pickling salt, but make sure it's a good salt. Don't get the cheap stuff. Don't use table salt, ever. Don't ever use table salt for something like this. You will be sorry. And we're gonna leave some room because we still need to get our glass weight on top of these. And so, what is the advantage to doing this yourself? For one, we know that it's not pasteurized, it's not cooked. So the probiotics that this produces through the natural fermentation process, it's just like, this stuff is so good for you. I don't know if you've ever heard, but or if you've ever studied this, but they say that your gut is your second brain. A lot of your melatonin and serotonin are produced in your gut that your brain uses. So I'm not just making something that I think is going to taste good, and I do like it, especially the homemade, because homemade sauerkraut, unlike the stuff that you get at the store, homemade sauerkraut is crunchy if you don't let it go too awful long. Depends on the time of year, the temperature of where you're going to be putting this, which I keep it in an enclosed cabinet, and that way I can, it doesn't have any light hitting it, and man, I hope I can fit all this in these jars. It doesn't, the temperature stays fairly consistent within a couple degrees, and it's usually, in the summertime, it's in the in the low 70s is where we keep our house. But in the winter time, it'll be around 70 degrees. So we're gonna let it go for another week. We'll let this go for 5 weeks. Let's see if I can get this mashed down in here a little bit better, because we want this packed down really tight. And as it sits, you'll notice in a couple of days it'll start sinking down lower. It'll continue to sink down. Yeah, see, we're getting more space here. Look at, I haven't even put any water in this jar yet. I don't know if you can see that or not. I haven't even put any of the water from this jar in here, and it's already all the way to the top of my cabbage level. And the tighter you pack this, the better. Get one more in there. The neat thing about this also is once you get it done, you put it in your fridge and it lasts, providing you use the right salt to vegetable content. This will last in your refrigerator, they say, about 6 months. And then when you go to use it, but you want to eat a little bit of this every day, a couple tablespoons a day, to build up a healthy gut, build your probiotics up in your gut. You definitely want to have a few tablespoons of fermented foods. And when you heat it up, you only want to bring it up to it's slightly warmed. If you, oh, we're there. If you get to the point where, rinse off here. If you raise the temperature of your sauerkraut above like 110 degrees, I believe it is, you can research it, don't just believe me. What happens is it kills the probiotics. The whole reason you're doing all this, it ends up killing them. So you don't want to do that. Now, in the event that I don't have enough liquid, you can always mix a little bit of salt together with some filtered water. Don't use city water out of your tap. But you can always use a saltwater mixture. The ratio for that, I believe, is 1 tablespoon of salt per quart of water. And stir that up real good. If you need to top these off, I don't think I'm going to need to. I don't think it's necessary. I think we're going to be okay. You'll see when I start pushing these glass weights in here, that thing's heavy. And these aren't very expensive either. What I'm using here is this big glass container. You can use a mixing bowl. I just like to use this because it's heavy and it doesn't like shoot out real fast away from me if I push down too hard. So here we put the glass weight in. I like to use that, and it actually helps push down the cabbage, because you want that pushed down. You want to make sure that that's all the way down below the surface of your fluid that comes up. If you have any sauerkraut or if you have any cabbage sticking up, that's going to end up getting mold on it, and you don't want that. But if it does, just spoon it off, keep on going, let it keep going. You'll find a lot of times when you're doing these ferments that you will get some mold on top, a white mold. Just spoon it off and put your weight back in and let it keep going. See how that's completely submerged in there now. It's a little hard to get a hold of. I got one piece over here that I want to get down lower. to make sure they're all down lower. Probably end up taking a spoon and doing that. Yeah, let me grab a spoon. We're just going to hit these edges gently. But if you do your research on the benefits of sauerkraut, you'll understand why this is so important the way we're doing this. And how good it is for you once it's done. So I'm going to keep on doing this. I won't bore you with the details. All right, so now it's time to put the lids on. And so we're going to wipe the very top off, make sure that's nice and clean. And these little lids, what they do is they allow I want to say it's carbon dioxide, I believe, is what happens as this stuff ferments. It produces a gas. It produces, I believe, it's carbon dioxide, and you'll see that bubbling up to the surface. These should, after a day or so, start doing their little bubbling thing, and they'll do that for a few days. You'll notice there's a yeast that grows in here. That's perfectly fine. It's good. That's healthy. And what happens is there's a healthy bacteria that is formed, and the fermenting process, lacto-fermenting, I believe they call it, it actually, sorry, my wife's phone's going off like mad right now. As it ferments, now I lost my train of thought. It produces a gas, which I believe is carbon dioxide, and these cavities of air up here, this emptiness, the carbon dioxide will push the oxygen out. And when there's no oxygen, there's no oxidation, and it allows it just to hang out. Mold can't grow where there's no oxygen. So that's what these lids are all about. They've got these little, just like a nipple on a baby's bottle, a little air hole in it, and it allows the gas to escape. I got to get one more ring on here, but I just want you to see, if we can get up closer, there's the juice is up at the top of the level, up above everything, all the cabbage. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna label these and let them, put them in the cabinet, and we're gonna check them in about 2 days just to see how they're doing. And make sure that those glass weights have lowered a little bit more, that the water level comes up some more, because it's gonna continue the water's gonna continue to come out of the cabbage because of the salt that's been mixed in with it. So it's the next morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning or so. I'm getting ready to head off to work, but I just wanted to show you the final product show you where we are. The final product will be in 5 weeks, but after letting it rest overnight, sitting in a cabinet by itself, the amount of juice that's been produced in this, the weight has pushed the sauerkraut down, has pushed the cabbage down. The salt's doing its work. It's already bubbling. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not, because this is a little cell phone video, but I'm gonna bring it up closer to you. I don't know if you can see that in there or not, but there's already bubbles forming across the top there. The process, the fermentation process is happening. It's producing its gases, and it's transforming any bad bacteria into good bacteria, or it's killing off any bad bacteria that might be in there, and there's good bacteria that's being produced. That's very important for the health of your gut. There's a whole lot of research that you can do on YouTube and on Google to just find out, educate yourself in how important probiotics are for your body. It has a lot to do with your moods. It has a lot to do with how well you sleep at night. People who have an unhealthy gut typically are, they struggle with anxiety, worry, and things like that, which is not good because anxiety, worry produces stress, produces cortisol, adrenaline. Your body's in a constant state of fight or flight, which actually causes your arteries to become brittle and harden, and it all just works together. So take the time. This took an hour and 15 minutes to put together 3 mason jars, 3 quarts, 4 pounds of sauerkraut, and that will last me about 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks. I'll eat some every day, if not, every other day, if not every day. I'll have a little bit, a quarter cup or so. It really helps. It boosts your metabolism. It's just good for you. It's very good for you. And just remember, when you heat this stuff up, never, I'm gonna get it out of the sun right now, but never put it in a microwave, ever. You will kill every probiotic, every good thing that's in something like this. You'll kill it in that microwave. When you heat it up, just bring it just beyond room temperature, 90 to 100 degrees, and put it on. I eat it with my salmon. I will either smoke up some salmon or grill up some salmon or fry it up in a frying pan on medium heat with extra virgin olive oil, and put this right on top of it. It's amazing together. That, and I'll slice up some, cook up some sweet potatoes in olive oil, a little bit of salt. Very good for you. It's just all good, and I won't ramble on. But anyway, I hope this helps you. You can get the mason top lids, the glass weights. You can get all that stuff on Amazon. Ships to you quickly. Just your simple mason jars that you can get in most grocery stores. They already come with the rings. So what you'll end up getting if you order stuff off of Amazon is just the lids, the nipple lids, and the glass weights inside of there. They're reusable. You can use them for years and years and years. So yeah, they might cost $20, $30, but you're gonna use them for the rest of your life. So anyway, I hope this helps you all. Again, please like this video, post your comments in the comments section. I'll answer any questions that I can, and subscribe to Simple Life with Rob Pusateri. Why is this simple? What part of this is simple? Well, if you're healthy, that's a whole lot more simple than going to the doctors all the time and having to take off work all the time, and not being able to do the things that you want to do. So make yourself healthy. Make yourself some homemade sauerkraut. There's plenty. If you just want to check up on my ingredients, there's plenty of other things. You can go into the USDA website, and they will completely explain, because that's what I use to make my sauerkraut and all my ferments. So you can go ahead and check it out that way. And just, there's a bunch of other videos you can watch. Just enjoy, man. Have a great time. Enjoy yourself. Produce your own food. It's healthy. There's no preservatives. There's no cancer-causing stuff in here. This fights against cancer, and it just helps all in all. So God bless you all. We'll see you on the next one.